Welcome to another edition of Lean Bites. Hey, thanks for joining me today. My name is Paul Dean. On this edition of Lean Bites, I'm going to share with you a simple but powerful example of lean leadership through using honeybees as a model. Now please stay with me for a few minutes and I'll explain. Now I've had the privilege of implementing lean with large and small organisations for over a number of years now, and those that have been successful have had a strong focus on the leadership component of lean, because one of the fundamental reasons why lean is not sustained is due to leadership. Now in this model, the bees represent you and your people leaders, and the beehive represents your organisation. And I'm going to use the model of the honeybees to provide some tips that I've developed over the years to help you develop your leaders to achieve a successful lean journey. Number one, purpose. Now when you study bees, their purpose is quite clear. Their primary task, if not their only task, is to build the hive. And built into the DNA of every bee is to build a hive that will create the right environment for bees to grow and mature. Each bee has their own daily tasks to head out of the hive each morning and gather pollen, which is then transformed into honey that serves as a food source for the young bees. Bees instinctively know their purpose, it's part of their DNA. You and your team members should know your purpose right from the start. It should be absolutely clear, almost part of your DNA. And to help instill the purpose, we use tools such as vision, mission, and core values. Make these as clear and easy to understand as possible. Particularly with core values, link these to everything that you do and display them prominently where everyone can see them. For example, your purpose could be to work together on a mission to build the best organisation where people can grow and mature and contribute further to the growth of the organisation. Number two, communication. The sole purpose of the bee is to build the hive. So they leave the hive each morning to search for flowers that will provide them with the nectar and the pollen needed to create honey. Now it's interesting, when they return to the hive, they have this unusual dance, which instantly and clearly communicates to the rest of the bee community not only that they've found a food source, but the direction and the distance from the hive. The bees then fly off to investigate this food source. Now this source of food will strengthen and build the bee community. This is a very simple but powerful example of effective communication. The same principle applies to you and your people. It's the role of everyone in the organisation to bring nutrients in to strengthen it. Encourage the sharing of ideas, create a mechanism where this occurs in a safe environment. If someone has solved the problem, have them share it with other team members. Also, have them share their success stories with senior leadership. Now, when you've discovered a new way of working, share it with others to encourage others to do the same. Make this communication process standard and easy to undertake. Number three, working together. Now, one of the most fascinating aspects of bees is that there are no members working just for themselves. Of course, it's funny to say this since they're only just insects, but the community can't survive unless they all work together. Now, they never work in silos, but always as teams. For example, when a new queen bee is mature enough, it must leave the hive and create another. And to enable this, a large proportion of bees leave with her to a new safe location that's already been scouted. Once again, all working together for the betterment of the new hive. Now, to protect the hive, the bee's greatest defense is working together as a swarm. And it's very rare for single bees to attack a predator. They'll always work in teams, looking out for one another, attacking the common enemy together. The same applies to you and your leaders and your teams. Your organisation can't thrive without everyone working together. Everyone must work together for the betterment of the whole organisation. Now let me preface the next point by saying that Organisational enemies are never a person or group of people, but poor practices, processes, and mindsets. They're the enemies of our organisation. The enemy of the hive is the enemy of every single bee. As leaders, we need to encourage our team members to be protective of other team members, working together to drive out the enemies that will destroy the organisation. And the enemies of your organisation are those poor practices and behaviours that work against building up the organisation. Whether it's inefficient processes or waste, anything that restricts us from servicing our internal and external customers is an enemy of our organisation. And it's critically important that we work together to drive out these poor processes. I truly believe that models like the honeybee can help us to get a better understanding of the best way to lead our organisations through our lean journey. And if you apply these principles of purpose, communication, and working together, I'm confident you'll build a successful lean culture. I hope this has been very helpful, and before I go, I'd like to leave you with a quote. Be yourself, everyone else is already taken Oscar Wilde. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Lean Bites.